Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WEC coverage of the night. Our first best of three in the upper semifinals, Game 2 between Titan and Invasion Esports. Titan looking good in Game 1. We'll see if they can make it a quick 2-0 sweep or if we're moving into a Game 3 ace match. I'm Zyori here in the studio. Joining me remotely once again is Blaze. What's the good word coming into Game 2 here, buddy?
Looking at the draft, it's going to be a very different game that we're familiar with. As far as Titan goes, we've seen WEC pick up Invoker. Maybe since we're seeing a little bit more mid-play from Ohio as well. That's on the table. I'm really not sure exactly how they're going to run it, but Invasion are switching up their strategy extensively. Like the heroes that you always see banned and picked. Faceless Void is among them, but the other three, not so much for the first phase. These are very, very interesting picks.
Yeah, the Nature's Prophet and Viper in particular. You'll see some teams, not so often, but grab the Invoker early on if they have a signature Invoker player, and he can be a bit of a respect band, but the Nature's Prophet first pick from Invasion, I think, is the most off the wall here. But obviously they will be doing some pushing, and then they follow up with the Viper, who is a strong lane dominator. We did see him a bit yesterday, and he had a pretty good performance. So we'll see how it goes. Invasion, 3rd and 4th bans on those supports that synergize well with the Faceless Void. Ancient Apparition and Skywrath Mage, plenty of magic damage to dump into the Chrono, and Titan will ban out the Morphling and the Venomancer. So we saw Morphling last game. A little bit surprised to see him banned out here, mostly because the Morphling last game was lackluster at best.
Yeah, it wasn't that substantial, but I think that's more about the tempo of the game as a whole, as well as a little bit of item progression decision-making that got him to that point. I mean, you're not going to be able to accomplish too much with a Lincoln's BKB Morphling who's already losing the game. So it's more the aspect of like the draft they were up against, it didn't fit in. But in a general sense, I'm still very confident in what they're going to accomplish with the Morphling, and obviously Titan are too, since they are going to ban it out here. So also banning out the green Toxin strat. Ghost always goes Orb of Venom on his Nature's Prophet. So combining that with Viper and Venomancer, you got a lot of damage over time, little green effects there. And I'm not sure about the ban, but I guess if they want to make sure that they can have some longevity in the team fights without being so reliant on mech or pipe, then that'll work out for them. Instead, though, they're going to see the Rubik picked up here, and there's some potential there. I mean, if you can get some nice steals on the Chronosphere, you can throw it against at least the allies of the Faceless Void, as well the Shadow Shaman has a couple of nice steals.
Yeah, not a bad game for the Rubik, the Shadow Shaman and Invoker in particular. Rubik against Void, it's just okay. As you mentioned, the Chronosphere, Void he doesn't discriminate. A Chrono is a Chrono, and he gets all that extra movement speed and what have you.
Actually, doesn't get the buff from the enemy Chronosphere, but even still.
Pardon me? Oh, he doesn't get the movement speed buff?
I think Rubik does, but the Void just moves regular. It's like
he moves regular, but he still moves around, though.
Yeah, he still does.
Oh, okay. I think you're right. The movement speed might not. Yeah. Good call. Good call. But still, there are some heroes that Rubik counters straight up, and Faceless Void is just not one of them. We'll see how Titan react here. They will need their second support, and probably their position 1. Pretty safe to assume that Void will be in the off lane. They could potentially safe lane the Invoker and grab a different mid hero, especially if they want to try and pair something different against the Viper.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to lane this, like to figure out exactly how they're gonna deal with each threat. Obviously, the Invoker's competent in dealing with Viper, at least just getting enough farm to get the Midas and get some damage on what I would presume is an Exort Invoker, because combining the Shackles or the Chronosphere with the Sunstrike is going to give you so much more kill potential. And of course, the EMP up against heroes like Viper and Furion doesn't really change the game too much. So I definitely expect it to be Exort, probably solo mid, and there's probably going to have to be some good game rotations. So I would like to see a support that isn't really tied to the jungle or tied to the lane, one that they can be a little bit more active with.
Yeah, well, Titan will take their time as they think about presumably who the second support would be. They could go for the Sand King once again here. We saw the Shadow Shaman Sand King duo last game, but could be a possibility here. Pardon me, no, they were on different teams. I'm sorry, what am I thinking? But either way, they'll go for the Witch Doctor. Oh, no. The two heroes. For some reason, when I came back from my break vacation, I was using these two hero names interchangeably, the Shadow Shaman and the Witch Doctor. And now the ultimate test. I finally stopped calling you Blitz. Now can I get Witch Doctor and Shadow Shaman right? The world may never know.
Well, you just say Shadow Shaman or Witch Doctor channels
Titan's
his
turn to
awesome
pick.
ability, and you might be right. Just no matter what, because they'll be trying to throw those spells out there. The Void Chrono combining with Death Ward extremely well, but now getting a tanky individual. Dragonite and Viper both having
Dire
a
team battle.
passive, which enables them to have higher armor values and makes it so that the Melting Strikes from Invoker's Forge Spirits, as well as that Death Ward, isn't going to be as painful. So they're going to try to survive through it, and yeah, if they can take some earlier fights, maybe get the Mac up on the Viper.
10
I'm
seconds
assuming they're going to
remaining.
play him in a safe lane role set while Dragonite takes up the mid. And then, of
5
course, they just have
seconds
to get their
remaining.
push behind them. So that leaves one support for Invasion and one core
Reserve
hero
time.
for the side of Titan, depending if they want to run like a safe lane Void or an off lane one.
Yeah, absolutely. And
10
I
seconds
worry a little
remaining.
bit, though, just with the first four picks on the field, that Invasion, they don't have a
5
bad
seconds
draft. They certainly
remaining.
have a lot of pushing power, and they have some lane dominators here. But
Titan's
Titan, they
turn
have
to
an
pick.
okay amount of pushing power of their own, but their team fight just seems so much more scary. They have
Hmm.
so much synergy across that chronosphere, and just a lot of damage in general, a lot of stuns and control. There's a Centaur for some
Nice.
long-range initiation,
Dire
even
team
more
battle.
damage and control with the Hoof Stomp and the Stampede. So even if Invasion have an okay laning phase here, maybe the Viper will do pretty well. The Dragonite, they might knock down an early tower with some rotations from that Nature's Prophet. But once that mid-game hits and Titan have all of their ultimates online, I worry about that Death Ball when Titan want to group up and take team fights.
Yeah. They're going
10
to be looking
seconds
for
remaining.
one more support here that can go with the Rubik. Initially, I thought maybe a Leshrac would be really cool
5
to see because it
seconds
gives you more
remaining.
push with the Furion, and of course, you get the combo of telekinesis into Split Earth. But we got three
Reserve
seconds to see
time.
what they want to go with, something with some control. It is going to be the Enigma of all picks. That is awesome to see. If they can pull that off, I can see a lot of potential value from FCFC on the Enigma.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously a greedier choice here as the position 4. Enigma will be in the jungle, and Rubik will not be the lone support, but the lone roaming kind of lane support, if you will.
Mhm.
So if Invasion can get away with this is great. It'll open up a lot more efficiency, and that is a tool that will give them a lot more team fight potential in that mid game. So I like what they're going for here, but Enigma can be a little bit of a double-edged sword if the Titan supports roam around, and maybe if they ward up his jungle invade and stop that Enigma from just free farming, things could be a little bit difficult. As always, Blaze, it'll come down to execution.
Oh, as always, definitely. These teams really love to pick those
10
heroes that have
seconds
so much
remaining.
potential skill, and then just they need to have their own personal experience to
5
maximize this.
seconds
But
remaining.
talking about experience, this is one that I have not seen. Invoker played by Ohio, and it fits the vein of thought that they've been applying to their most recent drafts with Ohio in the mid and their stand-in on the off lane. But even still, this is one that I have not had the pleasure of bearing witness to. So we'll have to see how he performs on this hero that does take a lot of practice to master.
Yes, that is definitely true. Invoker, one of the higher skill cap heroes in Dota, suffice it to say. And I'm checking out these Witch Doctor cosmetics right now. I don't know if I've ever seen this headpiece, the Veil of Fables, but I kind of like it. It's kind of weird looking. I don't know what it's supposed to be. It's just like Witch Doctor and a little handkerchief there, but
Well, you consider the doctor medicine mask that we see where they try to not get infected by their own patients. That might be some version of that. I don't really know.
and we will have 2D playing on the Faceless Void this game. It's all about the Faceless Void weapon. And he has the Elder Timebreaker, the Immortal Mace, Sithel's Summer Stash 2012. Damn, this is an OG Immortal right here.
Nice.
This is an old one.
So, looking at the stats for the Ohio Invoker, he's played it once yesterday versus Myth Trust, and otherwise he hasn't played it in 9 months competitively.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, it was a pretty dominant performance over Myth Trust in general. So probably not the best game to look at in terms of how is his Invoker, but, well, we'll see.
Most definitely. He's, like I said, going to be going for Exort Midas on the mid lane and should be able to lane fairly well against Dragon Knight. You don't think that Rubik's going to be solo roaming towards the mid lane very frequently. I mean, maybe you can find some timing with Enigma and then go for the Nature Prophet teleport as well. and then you can definitely bring down the Invoker and cause Ohio some difficulty. But there are so many other threats on the field. The Faceless Void getting opportunities to gain experience and farm. The Centaur, of course, is a big baddie once he farms up that Blink Dagger.
Big
There are
red.
a lot of threats, and they definitely want to try to put that under control.
Yep. And Titan still having some connection issues here. That was part of the reason we were so delayed getting into Game 2, folks. Titan, I don't know if they were kicking their computers or resetting their routers or what they were doing, but it took them quite a while to get reconnected. So patience is the key, but Net continuing to have some struggles here. On the side of Invasion, what's Dragonite working with here? The Immortal Elder Dragon form.
That's cool.
Do you like the cosmetics, Blaze? Are you a cosmetics kind of guy? Are you a collector?
I'm into them when I have them, but like I'm not to the point where I would like, oh, I have to have this kind of thing. Like I think it's a nice little addition, but I'm not hat crazy, I suppose.
Okay, all right. You don't do the old the marketplace is where it's at. You know, I wasn't into the cosmetics until someone showed me how to use the marketplace and how you can get the bargain items. I'm like, wow.
Sure.
I was paying full value for these items, and now there's a lot of items out there that are really cheap.
Yeah.
That
I
look
bought
really
the
cool.
Skriok's Talon Immortal, the Vengeful Spirit one that changes their animations a bit. I bought that one for like $5, and I thought it was a pretty good deal. So I do like them, especially like ones that like just like make you feel a lot cooler when you're doing different things. The base Vantage animation just doesn't suit me anymore, so I have to have that one. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's not a big deal. Like there are so many heroes that I play that don't even have cosmetics, like Visage and Enigma and stuff like that. It's just like, do the original thing. Trust in Valve's design.
Yeah. My worst cosmetic purchase was my Dazzleator set, the Anuxi Dazzle set, which is pretty cool. I bought the weapon for like $6 on the marketplace, and then at TI you could buy the entire set in the form of the card for $4. So
Nice.
I got the entire weapon for 50% more than the cost of the entire set at TI. I was a little bit disappointed, but one of my viewers gave me the rest of the set after I bought the Desolator weapon. So that's my big. That's the coolest item I have. That's it. The Zyori Dazzleator.
Nice. We're
It'll
gonna
be
see
worth
some
a lot
movement.
one day.
Now we do finally have that unpause. We're gonna see actually an invade into the enemy jungle. I'm not so confident in invades with Invoker and Faceless Void. They don't contribute much to a level 1 clash, but they're going in, and the Treant is gonna scout them out. We'll see if they commit.
Yeah, they will actually commit for it here. The Trent's getting it out all the way in Invasion. Don't seem too eager to take an early skirmish here. FZ already heading for the base. And the rest of Invasion perhaps getting in position as Ketchik could get caught. He's scouting it out as well. But no, good position all around here. Invasion will Delta split it out, ready to hop in if someone steps too far forward, but not eager for a fight. And there will be one ward that comes down. It's this Observer here to block the big camp, try and slow down Enigma. They'll drop a sentry in the medium camp in the middle of the trees here on their way out. And it appears they will try to make Enigma's life as difficult as possible as the second Observer comes down on the high ground here to get a little bit of rune control.
Yeah, so essentially 2 camps are blocked out for now. They have vision on the central one, and then the western 2 are usually used for pulling for the most part. So Enigma has to make a decision here. Is he going to go towards the
They can't
Dire
find
Ancient
it.
camp?
Oh, no. They put down the sentry, but they can't find the Observer in the trees.
After 30 seconds, when it doesn't spawn, he'll most likely start searching the tree lines. So if
Yeah.
he doesn't have any Tango, so maybe OK has to help him out with that one. But at least for now, they know where the...
Oh, and they lose their Observer. Extinct throws down a sentry. FZFZ will keep it alive for now. Oh, a little bit of counter ward on it.
Base
It's a
damage.
battle of the wards. And
Sorry, got too much
Enigma.
base damage. He takes 1 less hit.
Oh, wow. That's so unfortunate. The 11 difference between Witch Doctor and Enigma means the difference between this Observer living and dying. No more sentries available, and Titan will come out way ahead in the initial warding game. Ketchik comes over, and he
Denies it.
denies
Awesome.
the ward. Okay, 50 gold. Saved is 50 gold earned, I suppose, but wow.
Intense ward action here in the WC.
Yeah, this is brutal, man. So Enigma, FCFC will just, I think he was trying to stack that, missed it, and we'll just pull the Centaur camp. Still hasn't cleared out the big camp that's blocked by this Observer, and we'll keep our eyes on this trajectory of FZFC, but will have a rough road ahead of him. Let's introduce some rosters here and see how the lanes have settled down. On the rating side, of course, it is Team Titan up 1-0 in this best-of-3 series. Net will be playing on the Shadow Shaman in the bottom lane, KYXY on the safe lane, Centaur War Runner, Big Brad, if you will, and Witch Doctor, played by Extinct, also in the bottom lane. Ohio, solo mid on the Exort Invoker, and Tootie off lane on the Faceless Void.
Yep, so in this position we're going to see OK having a pretty good time as far as his pulling and stacking activity goes, and it looks like FC is going to leech off of that a little bit. He's going to go for a pull himself, not using the Eidolons, just trying to at least get a couple of levels before he ventures into perhaps foreign territory, because again, it's this hero is so very fast at jungling if he is given the opportunity, but this opportunity has been very limited so far, and with only one camp, you're pretty much wasting half your time. You make the Eidolons, you sit there, you farm one camp instead of 2 or 3, and you just have a rough time of it. So hopefully he's going to be able to really see his potential in the near future, but for now, that those wards committed have really set him back in his progression.
Yeah, and down bottom, Titan with a very aggressive positioning against the Nature's Prophet, but Ghost hugging that tier 2 tower. There's a double damage rune on the Witch Doctor. Unfortunately for him, he can't find the opening and won't be able to find a first blood. Nature's Prophet getting an okay amount of experience. He's halfway through level 3 and has a couple, no last hits under his belt. So finds experience but no farm. Tootie in a similar plight, just now hits level 3 and picked up a couple of last hits here and there. Both offlaners struggling at a pretty comparable rate. Invoker having an okay time in the mid lane, only a few CFs up onto Ketchik, but Ohio will be well on his way to a Hand of Midas. And I think last time his trajectory was pretty standard in the context of Exort Invoker. Midas into a Necro Book and then into either a Yules or a Scythe, depending on kind of the matchup. But Midas is just so core on that Exort Invoker.
Absolutely. He likes to enable his experience gains and try to get towards the high levels of Exort very early on. Maybe going for the 404 build for Forge Spirits and things of that nature, just to kind of give him some flexibility as far as what skills he's going to go, not just a 2-spell Invoker. But we are going to see that Enigma will still find his Soul Ring. It looks like he wants to go for maybe a gank on the mid, but unfortunately those lower ranks in Malefice, it makes it almost impossible. Now the Flying Courier comes out, scouts out the Observer Ward, so without the Tree Cutters, they still will be able to D-ward, but it's been a long time coming.
Willie, this sentry expires! Oh no!
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
It's a disaster! It's a catastrophe! Oh boy. Any other synonyms for disaster, insert here. That's... I don't have words to explain. He finally finds it, and it expires at the worst timing possible. That's just world's smallest violin right there.
Very, very fair. So yeah, at this point, I don't really know what Enigma is supposed to do. At level 3, at 4.5, probably closer to 5 minutes, he's still going to be the same level. Yeah, he looks like to be contributing to the push here on the tier 1 tower up top, so I guess it's the best course of action you can deliver. The Faceless Void certainly doesn't have any counter push, so drop some Eidolons, try to drop this tower. They do have a Bessie Ring, actually. Viper went for it, so yeah, they will be able to commit to it and bring it down, but at the same time, bottom lane, Titan will be able to do the same thing. They've got the heal on Witch Doctor if they want to use it, otherwise they're just going to do some raw auto attacks into the wave to bring it down.
Yeah. So a small boost for the Enigma, but the experience is the biggest problem right now. You can usually look at the mid lane as a benchmark for Enigma. If he's uncontested, has absolute free farm, he can keep up experience-wise and should hit level 6 right around the same time the mid lane does. And we see a big disparity here. He's halfway through level 3 as those mid laners are just now grabbing their ultimates. And yeah. Bottom tier 1 tower still taking pretty heavy pressure from Titan. Rubik has rotated down to try and help out the Nature's Prophet and keep this tower alive. Maybe they can at least go for a deny here. Sprout comes out onto Extinct. Tower does fall undenied. Okay, will concede the first blood. Centaur the one to grab it. Finds level 6 off of it as well. There's the Stampede. It's a double kill. Nature's Prophet gets picked off. Up in the top lane, Invasion shipping at this tier 2 tower. They might be able to grab it. That could help counteract the unnecessary deaths in the bottom lane, but now Titan with 2 kills under their belt.
Yeah, without the buckler or the headdress to push in, the tier 2 is really hard to claim on the side of the Invasion, so I don't think they're actually going to be able to bring it down, but they did put a lot of damage into it. It was unfortunate because Enigma spent one of those, that precious bit of gold, 135, to try to TP down to the bottom lane, realizes it was not in the right position, he is only level 3, and would have just been stunned and instantly killed. So he cancels the TP, but that leaves the 2 Soul Defenders high and dry, okay, and Ghost get run down. So not only do they lose the same tower that was taken down on the top lane, but they also lose some lives, perhaps in mid as well.
Yep, and Nat, invisibility rune online. Courier just hanging out, and he's thinking about it, but doesn't have the damage to bring it down, unfortunately. Ketchik could find himself in a sticky situation. We do have Shackle's second point in Ether Shock, so a fair bit of burst damage. The Breeze Fire will actually hit the invisible Shadow Shaman, so Net will just walk back to safety. He has picked up his Arcane Boots already, so Shadow Shaman has found at least a baseline of farm in context of these supports. Glancing at the graphs here, Titan with about 1,000 gold lead, small experience edge, but still pretty even. As KYXY pulls up gold, wow, 1,500 gold on the Centaur. That'll happen when you get the first blood, and that will mean a very fast Blink Dagger, pre-10 minutes for sure, depending on if he stops off to finish those Tranquil Boots. And that is damn scary. Top lane, Invasion will group up. This tier 2 tower will fall. Dragon Knight pops the Elder Dragon form, and quite a few Eidolons mixed with the Treants. Invasion will get a small gold boon here.
Yeah, but they look to commit to the tier 3 here. They've got the Elder Dragon form corroding away at the tier 3. They have a lot of creeps from the Treants, but they also are fighting against the Chronosphere. 2D has this available. We'll see if they can make use of it. There isn't enough follow-through beyond the Sunstrike, though, to make it worth it unless they absolutely have to. So for now, Ohio, just chilling out on the mid lane, pushing out, using his Midas, getting the very cost-efficient golden experience, and it's going to be the dive of Ketchik Imba to try to bring him down.
Yeah, he runs right through the tower. Dragon Knight pretty darn tanky, but throws the stone on Ohio. Is the follow-up here. FCFC, not level 6, and of course doesn't have enough mana for a black hole anyhow, even if he had the experience. Stampede comes out, and that will keep the Invoker alive. So no kills for Invasion, and that'll be the end of it. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, KYXY shoving towards the tower. 2 creep kills away, and, well, there you go. He's at his Blink Dagger as he backs up, and that will be about 8 minutes, 30 seconds or so as he TP's home.
Now, we do see a smoke coming through here from FCFC and OK, trying to make something happen here in the enemy jungle. But really, all they have is a Maledict from Malefice from the Enigma. He has the Soul Ring. He can cast 1 spell exactly, but there's already 3 back in mid, now 4 for Titan. It feels like this is just going to be either wasted time or, at worst, actual feed coming out from the sides.
Yeah, no Elder Dragon form available. Sunstrike flies through, connects onto the Viper. KYXY joining the party also. It's a kill onto the Viper to get things started, but they lost their Shadow Shaman off to the side from the Enigma. It seems the level 2 Malefice was enough to at least make it a 1-for-1 trade. Okay, will TP home. They scout it out, but too little too late, and he'll make it back to the base. FZFZ walks away to safety as well. So Viper for Shadow Shaman, still a good trade for Titan, but at least Invasion gets something out of it and get their first kill on the board.
So now Ghost is running a Midas of his own. That makes it 1-for-1 on the Midas count. But as far as late game scaling goes, I still think Titan have a lot of favoritism there. Like, you never can count out a black hole as far as its potential to impact team fights. But for right now, we're looking at the Chronosphere being the end-all be-all of team fights, where you can cancel black holes with it, even against a BKB Enigma. And of course, you enable Faceless Void to just be one of those insanely hard carries, along with the Invoker, who can contribute a large amount of damage himself.
And 2D is starting to find some recovery farm. He is lowest of the... He's actually below the Enigma right now, so pretty underfarmed, but about to hit level 8. Has the Poor Man's Shield and Power Treads. Long road to recovery, but experience is part of the name of the game for Faceless Void. Certainly hitting that level 11 and lowering the cooldown on Chronosphere are steps in the right direction. In the mid lane, Invasion thinking about getting aggressive here as FZFZ now level 6 with a black hole available. This could be an opportunity to try and take a skirmish. Ketchik with an Elder Dragon form also as he bottles up a haste rune. Invasion have been controlling the runes pretty effectively this game. Invoker happy to get some time to farm in the lane as Dragon Knight moves around and grabs the runes. We'll see if he can turn this haste rune into any kind of a kill. He'll pop it. Dragon Tail out on Ohio. Now the rotation over. Ghost throws out the Sprout, but KYXY catches him. And Sunstrike will be off the mark as the black hole comes through. Ohio falls. KYXY, the next target of choice, pops the Stampede as soon as they come out. Extinct getting clicked down, and will take a Dragon Tail inside the tower. Will fall, but Tootie with the Chronosphere. Tower laying into the Dragon Knight. He's a bit too tanky for now, but there's the re-engage from KYXY. Hoof Stomp into a double edge is enough to secure 2 kills on the Rubik as well as the Dragon Knight. It may cost the Centaur everything. Yeah, he takes a tumble, but now FCFC caught in the shackle. Net will pay with his life. ADTR is respawned and rejoins the fray. Will secure a kill onto the Void, and it's Invasion who come out ahead as they pick up 4 kills and make it 6-5.
Yeah, that black hole was absolutely insane. It didn't necessarily really finding the pickoff there on the Enigma. That was I don't know how you could possibly see that one coming. They didn't. I mean, they saw him go that general direction, but to be on the mark bullseye with that one is extremely impressive from Ohio.
Maybe one of the Forge Spirits walked by it. That's the only thing I can think of that maybe gave them vision, but yeah, I don't know. I only caught the tail end.
He was definitely in that general area, but to be spot on is just I'm impressed. But. Yep. Yeah, that team fight was actually very interesting because there was a lot of disable with no follow-through from both sides. Like, there was the also black hole, which nobody died in, but at least they were able to pull the weak individuals back. The Nature Prophet gets to walk away, and they get to regroup. Now we see action on mid. Nice double-edge stomp, and they are going to be able to bring down the Viper. Yeah,
this time the Sunstrike will connect, but KYXY takes a breathe fire. A lot of damage coming his way. Nature's Prophet will finish him off with a Wrath of Nature. Now Ketchik diving the tower. He wants Ohio. Extinct trying to heal him up as much as he can, and will buy him some valuable time, but Breathe Fire is there to finish him off. Now Extinct gets stunned up by the Enigma. In comes KYXY, hops forward, and the buyback will prove successful. Rasta throws down some wards behind the tower, will help repel the forces of invasion. Sunstrike just barely off the mark, and that'll be enough for Dragon Knight to survive, at least for now. Ohio pressing forward. Ice Wall cooling down in just a couple seconds. Now it's a Cold Snap out on the Ghost, a blink forward. Hoof Stomp double edge again, enough to secure the kill, and it will be tied up 9-9. A bloodbath from the mid lane, but a fairly even exchange at that, as the Tier 1 tower on both sides of the coin stay standing. And they focus heroes over the structures.
Yeah, I would say right now the teamfight potential of both sides is relatively even, but here we go again.
Oh, Chronosphere, this time they've got a Death Ward. Viper in trouble. Chrono will turn off, but it doesn't matter. 1-for-1, Viper and Centaur trade. Enigma gets picked off in the fray as the cast starts bouncing around, but now they'll get the Void. A 2-for-2, and Titan on the back foot as Ketchik pops the Dragon form and will press forward. Eidolon's down as well. Maybe Invasion can finally finish off this tower, but Titan have a Glyph standing, so could continue to make a hold. Both sides, this has turned into an all mid wars here. Both teams just keep respawning and shoving towards the mid as reinforcements are needed. Treants come out, tower in big trouble. There's the Glyph, and I think Titan will finally fall on the back foot as they watch their tower get taken down.
In some cases, not even waiting for the respawn here. We've seen buybacks all over the place in the early stages of this game, and it really has been all favoring Invasion thus far. They've taken towers, they've forced buybacks, they're just setting back Titan left and right, and although, like I said, Titan might have the best potential in a 50-minute game, right now we're only 14 minutes in, and we just see this massive advantage coming out for Invasion. They did bring the experience back to even, but even still, like, Invasion have been able to take huge amounts of momentum swings in gold, and if they can turn that into a Roshan and possibly a BKB on the Enigma, all they have to worry about is the Faceless Void.
Yeah. Absolutely. So with 2 towers down, that is where that 2,000 gold lead for Invasion is coming from. Once Titan knocks down some of these Tier 1 towers, it is a 2-to-1 advantage, so that's at least some of it. But yeah, Invasion finding a little more farmer on the map now as Enigma and Nature's Prophet clear out the jungle. You mentioned that Hand of Midas on Nature's Prophet starting to pay some dividends. He will go for a Necronomicon first item on the brown boots, not even going for the phase boots, which is a little bit uncommon. See a lot of Nature's Prophets actually opt for the phase boots before Midas. But speaking of the devil, Ghost gets caught by a Hex, Ether Shock, and even Mass Serpent Wards used to secure this kill. And secure it they shall as Ghost falls. Meanwhile in the mid lane, Centaur pops the Stampede but will fall to the ADTR Viper. Stampede stolen by the Rubiks. They press forward. Secures a kill on the Shadow Shaman. Now Ohio stuck inside of the Sprout. Will clear down one of the trees. He's on the run. He's got a Necronomicon of his own, but it's only level 1. Takes a Dragon Tail, and it's a 1v4 as he heads for the hills. Has a Ghost Walk, but they've got a Sentry at the ready, and he won't make it out of the radius. He will take a tumble. It's a 1-for-3 after they commit a lot for that Nature's Prophet. And even in the top lane, Tootie taking a lot of damage from the Viper, has a Chronosphere available, and will be just fine.
Yeah, this is... it's really hard to call who's going to win each individual engagement because it really comes down to positioning. The fact that they committed the Serpent Wards just on that northern front and didn't really get enough out of it because they could just take the fight away from it, on top of the fact that Rubik was able to steal Stampede, just puts Invasion so much further ahead. They come out of that fight still having now their mechanism available and the Black Hole. they're going to look to take high ground, and it's all on... Actually, no, they don't have the Chrono or the Death Ward. They used it on the Viper on the top lane. So those big cooldowns will take Viper out of this, but they don't have them for this next fight.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised they used that Chrono up top. I missed it because I assumed they were just going to back up as the Void survived and gear up to defend the Tier 2 tower mid. And a kill on Viper is nice. Invasion won't press the issue, which I'm also surprised at. So, I mean, there is still no Death Ward. They even used Death Ward up top. There's no glyph. I think Titan could have forced the issue a little more aggressively here, but...
They definitely could have, but fighting up against a Centaur Warrunner with Blink Dagger in a choke point is quite difficult. Although the cooldowns are down for now, they still had some potential with maybe a Meteor after the Stomp comes through, and they don't want to take unnecessary risks. Right now, it's a free Roshan. They know that they have the time with the cooldowns unavailable. Just say, hey, we've put some damage into the Tier 3, and we're not going to be able to bring down the Rex. So they say, we'll leave the Tier 3 at 600 HP, take the Rosh, and then be even better set for the next team fight.
Yep, that's a very good point as well. They have the Black Hole available, so they can afford to go into the Rosh pit, put Enigma on the high ground, and even if Titan do want to contest, they have a pretty good chance at coming out, at least breaking even, if not coming out ahead in a team fight here. But again, Net having some connection issues as he DCs, and will be stuck in another pause. Glancing at the graphs, now about a 5,000 gold lead in favor of Invasion, and only about 1,000 experience in their favor. So Titan starting to look like they're up against the ropes. It's not over yet. Like you said, they've got the late game advantage, and they have a really good turtling lineup. With that Chronosphere, is Void level 11 yet? Yes, he is. So Chronosphere on that slightly shorter cooldown. Breaking the high ground now will be a difficult challenge for Invasion as these outer towers have fallen.
Yeah, it really comes down to perfectly utilizing their abilities. So they've got two forms of wards, the Serpent Wards and the Death Ward. The Mass Serpent Wards have to be carefully positioned to not be inside the Chrono. The Death Ward doesn't really care. But 2D, it's all about him using his Chronosphere, getting who he needs to in it, and then them focusing down that particular target. Because the one thing that we've seen throughout the previous teamfights that's been quite detrimental to them is KOXY can't really contribute till after the Chronosphere is done. He follows after the Chronosphere with a great stomp, great double edge, but it's the damage in the Chrono that they've been lacking to this point. So now they've got the Death Ward in 45, they've got the Mask of Madness, and it just comes down to what they can do with it.
Yeah, and some of it is also on this Invoker, who is still reaping the early benefits of the Hand of Midas, but still hasn't really completely come online. He's level 11, which is perfectly acceptable, but where Invoker really starts to shine is when that Hand of Midas kicks in and he gets 1, 2, 3 levels up on the opposition, and that's when those spells really start to hurt. We haven't seen any of those big meatballs flying down into the Chronospheres yet, but fear not, as I'm sure they will be inbound at some point here. Although, of course, that is assuming that Net can reconnect.
Sure enough, I certainly hope the match wouldn't be decided on something such as that. But yeah, as far as the Invoker's skill set goes, he went for the Forge Spirit build, the 4-0-4, and then only recently picked up a point in WEC. So he has a 1 WEX Meteor, doesn't go very far, might want to build that up a little bit more before he actually commits to the big AoE cast. For now, the Sunstrikes have been on point. I think it was still very much worth the pick, but to win the game, they definitely need something huge out of him. The problem is, as soon as his Meteor and Deafening Blast come online, that's when the BKBs do as well. We've already see the 10-second BKB up on the Dragon Knight, and Enigma is well on his way to his own. So those two alone are going to make it more difficult to really make the Arsenal Magus the most active hero in these fights, but they're going to be looking to deal with it nevertheless with some great physical damage through the rest of their ultis.
Yes, sir. The BKB on Enigma is definitely something to fear at this point. The only other item progression worth mentioning here is Mask of Madness is up on 2D's Faceless Void, so he has significantly more damage output inside of the Chronosphere now. Certainly good news for the Radiant. It's been a long road to recovery for him. He had a slow start in the offlane, but he is level 11, so he found a good bit of experience at least.
Yeah, they actually laid off him for a decent period of time where like he wasn't actually fighting in the mid fights, and after they had taken that tier 2 on the top lane, he got at least half a dozen waves of experience perfectly fine. So just being able to not be concerned about those kinds of things and just do your own thing for even a couple of minutes really puts you back in control of the game. So he's still not doing great, but that's mostly because of their overall state of the game. They have only taken one tower. It did get last hit by a siege creep, but otherwise their entire team hasn't really been getting that income that we've been seeing from Invasion. So they're the ones with the mechs, the BKBs, the awesome little abilities. Heck, Rubik's halfway to a blink, so he's going to be able to get those coolish steals, not just on like abilities like Stampede, but also on things like Chronosphere and Death Ward and things like that. So we're going to be looking to see more out of the stand-in as well. And yeah, it's just about income. It's just about Titan getting what they can, because right now it's all Invoker as far as net worth goes, and everybody else is just trying to pick up the pieces.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Blaze, it might be time for some jokes.
All I've got is cheesy puns, so I don't know if that can really help a cast.
Funny anecdotes. Weird interactions with strangers. I don't know. How you were queuing with David Parker the other day? How was that?
That's pretty cool. There was some interesting decision making on behalf of multiple team members, mostly the persistent indifference towards feeding repeatedly and relentlessly on an offlane situation. Just the aspect to not tone it down for some pubs that like he's completely shifts the game. It's like you can do so well on your lane, and then there's one guy who's just like, yeah, I'm gonna play offlane Huskar, and I'm gonna go ahead and blame everybody for my deaths and scream for Shallow Grave against an axe. So I'm sure you've had that experience as well.
Yeah, you know, I like the Ragers. I had one game the other day, well, I guess it was the other week, but I was streaming and this guy was just so mad. And one of those, you know, the dies and the 5 minute, GG, it's over. It's like, all right, dude, I know that you're upset, but believe me when I say it's far from over. You're playing Sniper. You died once. It's okay, man. You can recover. And he was so angry. And then I made friends with him. I added him on Steam, and I coached him how to be positive. And then I played Sniper in the next game and carried him. And then we became friends. And then he spammed me to play, and I had to remove him from my friends list. It was still a nice story, and before he got too annoying. But I try. I try to spread the seeds of positivity when I enter the pub scene, Blaze.
Sure enough, man.
But Net has reconnected, and we've got Game 2 of this BO3 series back upon us. 13-14 at the 16-minute mark. It may be a one hero kill difference, but Invasion have a pretty darn big advantage. 5,000 gold, about 1,000 experience, as they were just knocking on the front door of the base. When we last chatted, Titan, they've got no big ultimates available. Invasion have a black hole, and we were thinking they would go to Roche for a free Roshan, but it seems that that's not the case. Titan will just push out of the base, and everyone just goes back to farming in the lanes.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about that particular decision because, of course, they do have a lot up their sleeve right now. They even still have the Stampede that was stolen a while back here. So it's pretty much the setup you need for Enigma. Like, he doesn't need a Blink Dagger when he has maximum movement speed. And I think that would have been enough for them to go for what they wanted, along with that aforementioned BKB that Dragonite has only recently picked up. I think that would have been plenty, but their decision, not only playing it safe by backing off the tier 3, but respecting Titan very substantially to not go for that Roche. Now they're kind of spreading out, taking the bottom tier 1, just kind of saying, okay, there's 2 towers left on the map. We'll start with 1 and try to defend mid as well.
Yep, BKB popped by the Dragonite as he TP's in. Already in Elder Dragon form, but in comes the Chrono from Tootie. Black hole inside of it, and the Death Ward on the outside. Death Ward going the whole time, will do a lot of damage, but it's on the Dragonite, and he's there to absorb it. Invoker will fall, so will the Faceless Void. It's a 3-0 as Invasion take the fight. KYXY on his last leg as he gets taken down, and now the Witch Doctor, he TP's out, but disastrous for Titan. And Invasion, they could possibly break high ground here. Big ultimates have been expended, and they get a clean sweep.
Yeah, that was an amazing chrono and a very well-placed Death Ward, but unfortunately, it's a level 13 Dragonite that's just tanking it up. With a full Dragon Blood, he has 60% physical damage mitigation, so he's almost taking a third of the damage that Death Ward is supposed to be doing against, you know, an individual with absolutely no armor. So that is quite unfortunate. I'm not sure if he was completely out of range of all the other opponents or if he just wasn't microing it properly, but either way, the Death Ward goes for the full duration and only goes into the Dragon Knight. If it was any other hero, he would have gotten a kill and then half of the other person's HP, but instead, oh, they're not even worried about Aegis, okay. But instead, they don't even bring down the Dragon Knight himself. They get the second life on the Viper. They absolutely destroy, and that black hole was very well positioned as well. So every kill earned, and it looks like Invasion are just going to run away with this one.
Yep. But Rubik no longer has the Stampede. It did expire. He had to pick up something else, and he does get Forged Spirits. So usually a spell that you kind of scoff at, but in the context of this game, Invasion have one outer tower remaining with this bottom tier 2, and Forged Spirits will make knocking it down that much easier.
Yeah, it's interesting movement from Titan right now. It looks like they just are saying, okay, we just want one tower. We just want to be able to get something, force somebody to TP top so they can't all death ball on bottom. And yeah, they're going to try to go ahead and take this tier 1. The cool thing is, because they do have the Centaur behind them who has the blink stun against TPs, there's essentially no way to defend this. You can't just TP 1 or 2 people, you have to TP all 5. And since there's no time for that, it is a free tier 1. The question is, where Titan go from here? Do they keep going for the tier 2 under that same mentality? Or do they say, okay, the high ground will be under siege in a moment, let's rally our forces and hold?
Well, they do have all of their ultimates available here, certainly the big ones. Black Hole is the big ulti not available. 50 seconds, and the tier 2 in the bottom lane will fall as Titan commit to the top tier 2. Rasta wards come down, 2D will hang around a little bit longer, and the creep wave coming in should be enough to finish it off. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, tier 3, under assault, Ketchik already pops his BKB, and it'll expire just about the time this fight starts. Ohio gets telekinesed in, Chronosphere, and he will force staff his way out, but still gets clicked down by OK. Death Ward coming through again on the Dragon Knight. Mech cleans him up, and he will fall, but oh man, is he tanky. Buys a lot of time. KYXY gets taken out. He'll buy back, as does the Invoker, as does the Void. All the buybacks from Titan coming out. And they will hold the tier 3 at least for now. ADTR still with the Aegis available. They'll go in. Ghost falls. KYXY helps secure that one. FZFZ perhaps in some trouble, but Invoker, it'll be a dieback. Okay, one hit on it. Do it. Tootie brings him down. But will it be at the cost of his own life? It seems like it. Wow. Titan get cleaned up, and they GG and tap out. Ultra kill for the Viper to secure the win for Invasion.
They just exhausted too many resources there. All the buybacks in the world. And the one question that I would have for Titan here is, was it worth it to drop the Mass Serpent Wards up on the top tier 2? They got the tower. Maybe that tipped them over the edge for gold to buy back for the next fight, and obviously 3 extra heroes to bring to the fight is better than Mass Serpent Wards, but if they didn't need that gold at that particular moment, maybe better to put into the fight. It's a question they'll maybe ask themselves in between the games, but either way, it really was the circumstances around that last fight and everything leading up to it that won them the game. Invasion were able to control the map so effectively, and Enigma, he says, okay, I can't farm my jungle, I'll just push. And they were able to really push 2D out of his comfort zone on the Void, push him back, and take his towers. They got the momentum, they held it, and they take the game in just 21 minutes.
Yeah, it's a really good point to make. FZFZ made a really strong recovery on that Enigma. He had very limited options, and Titan won the early warding battle, but was still able to be a playmaker, and by the end of the game was landing black holes left and right. We'll have the conclusion of this series coming up next, guys. Game 3 of this best-of-3 series between Titan and Invasion. Winner moves on to the finals. Loser goes home empty-handed. We'll be back after this short break. Thanks for joining us here on Beyond the Summit.